Okay, so here we go. We're started. So who can remember the three data types that we learned last week? Just shout them out. Integers, floats, and strings. So if I wanted to create a variable name like this and have it be a string, how do I do that? Do I just type Jimmy? No, I got to put it in quotation marks. Now, again, anything that is this green color is a string. So in your code, you'll very easily be able to see what's a string and what's not. How do I create an integer?
Type it like a number.
Type it like a number like this. Oop, hang on. And then how do I do a float? Like that? Okay.
I thought you had it. Oh, maybe that's a different language.
Yeah, you don't have to declare what the variable is. Like in.
It's kind of nice, actually.
Yeah.
You always have to type like VAR.
Yeah, it's like in other languages you have to do like variable int equals 10 or something like that. Or int name equals int number equals 10 or something like that. You don't have to do that here. Python knows it, which is why I like Python, because it's easier. There's less of those weird things. You don't have to have a lot of these brackets. You don't have code like for x in range 10, and then you have this, and then blah, and then you have whatever. You don't have that. Yep.
Do I need to screen?
What?
Do you need to see the screen?
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad at Zoom. I'm so bad. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, and then what I want you guys to do is just follow along, okay, on your computer, okay? Okay. I will take the silence as a yes. So those are our three variables. Yes, Lorian.
Are you recording this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so everything that's on that screen up there, so everything that the Zoom guys see, and my screen, and you'll see my webcam from here, will all be recorded, and then I upload to YouTube after this class. So I upload both classes at the same time. And then I'll put them in the playlist that I gave you guys the link. There's a link on campus under announcements for the YouTube playlist. You guys just click that and boom, it takes you right there. So those are our three variable types. You have string, integers, and floats. If I were to do name plus name, what is this? What's going to happen? It'll be what, Brandon?
It would be Jimmy, and then Jimmy would just take them.
Yep, Jimmy. No spaces, nothing. Now, what do we call that when we put two strings together like that? What?
She said a rope.
A rope? No. No, Anna? Say that. Can you speak up? Very close. Yeah, that counts. It's called concatenating. In my previous class, someone was like concocting, and it's like, we're not concocting a potion, we're concatenating strings. So that might be a good way to remember it. We're not concocting a potion, we're concatenating a string. Now, the reason that's a different word is because adding strings together, adding and coding, deals with numbers, not strings. Okay? So that's concatenating. If we were to do this, what happens? What's going to be the answer? It's not times, it's 10 plus 10.5. Who said the answer? 20.5. What type of variable is that? What data type is that? It's a float because it has a decimal. So if you add a float to any other integer, it will become a decimal. If you multiply an int by a float, it'll become it becomes a float. If you divide, it will become a float. So any math that deals with a float, it becomes a float. The answer becomes a float. One thing, I forgot to do this with the other class. Did I go over percent sign with you guys?
Is that like modulus or something like that?
No, oh man, I can't believe I forgot to do this. It's a remainder, yep. And so double slashes is called integer division. So if we were to do 5 divided by 2 gives us 2.5, right? What does 5 / 2 give us? Gives us 2. 5% sign 2 gives us 1. Because this here, if you do // it's called integer division. That will get the answer is an integer and it gets rid of any decimal. Again, we don't normally use that, but you do need to know what it does. This we use actually quite a lot. Anytime we want to determine if something's even or odd, this is how you're going to do it. This is something you guys need to remember right here, 100%. And then I feel like I missed one. Oh no, and we did exponent. I gotta do that with next class. Questions on what we've done? So that was basically just a review. Yes, Asher.
I know in JavaScript, if you had you could say if you had a variable like name that was Jimmy, and then you had a variable number that was 5, you could say Jimmy, or you could say name plus number, and you could get 5. Or no, you could get Jimmy 5.
We're gonna go over that.
How would you ever, like, if you wanted?
You can convert strings into numbers if so we're gonna go over this, but you can convert this to be an integer by doing this, and it will give you the number 42, but I can't do this because it can tell the difference between letters and just numbers. So we're going to go over this, just not today. That's more of the next day we have class, so I think tomorrow. Do we have any questions on anything so far? What we're reviewed, you guys are confused on anything? You guys, the Zoom guys, do you guys have any questions? Okay. Yes. Can you say that again? Yes, percent sign is the remainder. So anything that is 10% sign 2 will give us 0. Now, if we did 10% sign 3, what would the answer be? It's 1. Because 3 goes into 10 how many times? With how many left over? Exactly. So while you can use this to determine if something's even or odd, you can also determine it to determine if something is a multiple of something else. So if we did, hang on, I can actually, so 6, 12, 21, 28, 36. So is this number divisible by 3? I don't know. Actually, I do, but if you don't know, you can do this and go, if it's 0, it's a multiple of 3. Oop, uh-oh. I just accidentally closed out of it. It's okay, it's okay. So I forgot what that number was. But I don't know if this is a multiple of 3 or not. Okay, so this is not a multiple of 3 because the remainder is 2. The way I know if this number is a multiple of this number is if the answer of this equation is 0. So now I know this is a multiple of 3. Does that make sense? This is mostly used with 2 to determine whether or not something's even or odd. But you can use it with other numbers to determine if this big number is a multiple of the smaller number. Asher.
One thing like you can do is you can say like frame count percent and then any number. So whenever the frame count is not, like you can repeat it every 3 times if you said frame count percent 3.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. So what he's saying is, for more of a video game sense, if you want something to happen every third frame, this is also how you can do it. You can say, this for x in range 10, if x percent sign 3 equals 0, print this is a multiple of 3. Actually, let's do so apparently 0 is not a multiple of 3, but according to my code, 3 goes into 0 0 times with 0 remainder. So technically it's correct, but you guys can see that's how you could do it. So every third frame we could have something happening in our video game if we wanted to. Okay, so now we need to get to variable names. What I don't want to see in your guys' code, and eventually I'll start taking points off, is if I see this I do not want to see letters equaling variable names. Almost ever. A time you can is in a for loop, but we haven't learned about for loops, so for now I don't want to see it. What your variable should be is, counter is 10. Name 1 is Jimmy. Name 2 is Jim. I'm very... people is 100. That sort of thing. Your variable name should describe what the variable is. I don't want to see x is 100 and you're doing all of that. So, does that make sense? So your variable name should represent the value it holds. Do you guys have any questions so far? Zoom guys, you good? Sweet. Okay, so gosh, my nose. Variable names, you can have them be words. So people in this class is 10. I cannot have spaces in my variable name. Because what it does is Python sees this is a variable name. A space means it's the end of the variable name. And then here, it's saying I can't just have variable name space variable name. We'd have to have, people plus here or whatever. But then obviously here's not defined. So you can have letters, you can have underscores, and you can have numbers. I cannot start a variable name with numbers. I also obviously can't spell. Because it views these numbers as actual integers and numbers that you're going to do math with. So 123 underscore people makes no sense to a computer because what does underscore mean to a number? Nothing. So you have to start with a letter, but you can totally do P123 is 100. That's totally cool. The beginning has to be a letter, and you can't have symbols. So I can't have people is 100. Because these symbols mean different things in other aspects of coding. So this right here signifies doesn't equal. So if I have 10 doesn't equal 100, that gives me true. Again, I can't have symbols in my variable names. Do you guys have any questions on that? No, so we started at 48. So we're 21 minutes into class, so we have 24 minutes left. Okay. Any questions? Comments, concerns? Dial toll free. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No. I got one smile. All right, one smile. I'll take it. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to start our first coding program. And the way we're going to do is it's going to have some things we haven't learned yet, but we're going to use them and to understand them. Make sense? One thing I forgot to tell you guys is you can check and see what type of variable type, what type of data type a variable is. So x is 10, y is 16. So once our code gets more complex, we're going to need to figure out, it's okay if you don't remember what type of variable everything is. Okay, because if you're changing something temporarily from an integer to a float to do some fancy math, you may forget to put it back into an integer, and that might mess up your code later. So what you can do is you can type the word type, followed by parentheses, and you put the variable inside the parentheses. Now with anything that is purple, right, this word changed to purple, you have to have parentheses after it. The reason that is it's a function, and it's pre-written code by the people who made Python that does certain things. Obviously, you guys don't, it would be really hard for you guys to write the code to figure out what type of data type a certain variable is every time you had to write it. But it's a very popular thing. So the owners of Python made that, or the creators of Python threw that in as a feature. Same with print. If you guys had to write the code every single time to have the code display information, that would suck. That'd be really hard. So print, again, has to be followed by parentheses. Questions? Andre?
No.
No? Can you put your phone away? Thank you. So anything followed by purple has to have parentheses, and anything inside the parentheses, that's what whatever this code means will do to it. So type will tell you what type of variable this variable is. Print, well, ignore that. I can also type in x, y. I can type in I can type in a number or whatever too. It does not have to be a variable. Any questions so far? What color, if a word turns purple? Never mind, I answered the question. So, what has to follow a purple word? Parentheses. Awesome. All right. So we are going to start with our first code. Woo woo! You guys don't seem that excited. All right, we'll just not do it, I guess. You know. No. Okay. I'm kidding. So this whole time we have been coding in the shell, line by line. You know, it tells me the variable, whatever. This is the shell, and this is the interaction between the code that we write and the user. So this is just like if you go to a bank and you have when you're typing in your PIN, what you see, you don't have access to the code behind it. All you have access to is the code or the screen that the code creates, right? So what we're going to do is we are going to write the code that the user doesn't see. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah, thank you, Cole. So the way we're going to do that is you go up to File in the top left of the shell, and you see New File. So guys, Zoom guys, make sure you're doing this too. You can also hit Control-N, and that will create a new file. You don't have to. It's the easier, faster way, but it's whatever. However you guys want to do it. And I'm going to set this up so that you can see both the shell and the console at the same time.
Wait, can you pick a variable with a number?
Yep. Ah! There we go. So does everyone have this sort of blank screen right here? Right, again, all you got to do is in the shell, go to File, New File. Zoom guys, you got it? Sweet. Okay, so we're going to write the book. We're going to just start following the book. We're on page 13 of the second edition, and I believe it's 21 in the first edition, and I don't know where it is on the website. So if you go to the website, just look for the heading that says your first program. 12. What? The website is automatetheboringstuff.com. Yeah, so I'm going to pull it up here. Automatetheboringstuff.com. So this is what I really like about the book, is that it's online and everything from the book is available online. Yeah. Chapter 1. So it's automate the boring stuff just up here. So it's the name of the book.com. So again, if you guys forget your book, you go to this website and is your book there? Yeah, go ahead. Also, with the size of the desks, it may be easier. I like having an actual book because then I can put my notes because they have updated. Who here has the first edition? It says second edition if you have the second edition right on top here. So if you guys have the first, that's totally fine. There will just be times when your code is different than what I'm typing up here, and I just ask you, say my code is different, and just let me know because what I type up here should work because they made updates. So obviously they make updates to code, and things not written in Python get updated. You import code from other sources, that gets updated, so you have to update the Python code, and that's happened a few times. And typically not in the beginning, it's more in the advanced class where we're doing a bunch of stuff, but it might be different. So if it is different, just let me know. That was a lot of information really, really fast. But if your book is different than what I typed, just let me know. So, and this is also, anyway. So we're just going to start coding. So this right here, these, as you young people know it as the hashtag. It's the pound sign or the number sign. If you type these, this is called a comment. And what that means is anything that is this color, anything in red, anything that's a comment, your code will skip. Python won't read, Python won't do, Python ignores. So this is comments for the coder, by the coder, for the coder. So if you have really long code, you can say, this line does this. I saw this online and there was, you guys have heard of the video game Doom, right? Like the very, very first, one of the first 3D games. Okay. It's an old video game. And I think there was a line of code with a comment that no one really knew what it meant. But if you deleted it, it didn't work. The game didn't work. So there was a comment that said, don't delete this without it. The code doesn't work. So you could do that. So for a coder, so if Asher's writing code and he's working with Brandon, but Asher is going to want to put this line does this is section does that, so that Brandon, when he's reading it, knows what's going on. So again, comments. This program says hello and asks for my name. Okay, so that tells the user, that tells the other coder what this code is going to do. Now, real quick, you can mass comment out lines of code. So imagine this is code. Okay? And I know this code works, and then I have more code, more code, more code, right? I know this code here works, but I don't want it to be repeating because of X, for whatever reason. If you hold Alt and tap 3, it mass comments it out. This is how I want you guys to comment out code, because I can come in and uncomment it and make sure it works, especially when we're doing homework. And I'll show you guys how to do that when you guys have to turn in homework. So you highlight something, hit Alt 3, and it mass comments it out, leaving this to work. And I can tap Alt 3 to have a lot of comments or a lot of the hashtags, which is useful for, you know, I don't know. It's useful for a lot of things. Questions? Okay. You guys have questions? Zoom guys? Good? Okay. So, we went over print the other day, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What does print do? Just yell it out. Prints the word that, yes. What is that? What does print mean? Does it send it to a printer? Displays it. That's the key word. Print displays information. So, and it's purple, so what does that mean? We have to follow it with parentheses, and anything inside the parentheses gets displayed. And so, just so you guys know, if we don't finish this, this will be homework, and we're going to go over it tomorrow and finish it, because there are some things in here that we haven't gone over yet in class, but it's called investigative learning. Say that again? I can't hear you. Can we leave what? Yeah. Yeah, you guys are supposed, if you copy this, that's fine, but we're also going to go over it because I'm sure there's something in here you're like, we didn't learn that, and I don't know what it, like my code works, but I don't know what I did. I don't know why it works. And then I go over, well, this is why it works because it does A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So print, and we want to print hello world. Hey, I spelled it right this time. It took me 3 tries in the first class. Hello world is like the first thing you learn to print or display in any coding language. So it's kind of a joke, hello world. Because I think that was the first thing ever displayed in code. I'm not sure though. So hello world. Yeah, AI, man. Yeah. Hello world. Print, what is your name? Now I'm going to put 2. Now in my previous class they asked, do you have to put 2 hashtags, 2 pound signs, 2 whatever? No. I do just because that's my preference. You can totally do it with just 1. If you are commenting out lines of code for whatever reason to say it doesn't work and you want to test it, please do it with 2, and please do it with Alt 3 or with 2 at the very beginning, because I've had students where and they do this with just Shift 3, and I need to uncomment it out, and I can't. So now I have to go in and individually go, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but if everyone does it, and because the way I code your homework again is I basically go through and tell you why it doesn't work, and then I save it, and you guys should go back and review it, but most people don't. But I debug your code to make it work, and I tell you everything you did wrong, and that's how I take points off. Asher.
How do you round the number? Is it just with round of the parentheses?
Yeah, you can do round.
How do you? What's the command? Okay. And what about random?
We'll get to random later. Yes. Cole, do you have a question? No? Okay. So this ask Now what we're going to do is my name, and this is something we haven't learned, is input. So again, input is purple, so it has to be followed by parentheses. And what this code does, it now pauses and waits for the user to input something. Waits for the user, well, that's wrong. Technically, it waits for the user to hit enter. And whatever they've typed before they hit enter becomes the value of my name. You need to write code in this way where you ask the user for information, because otherwise you have to hard code it. Who here uses a ATM or has used an ATM? What if you went there, you put in your card, it asked for your PIN, you typed it in, or it just said, what if it defaulted to the PIN being 1, 2, 3, 4? None of your guys' PIN should be 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not going to ask. But if that isn't your PIN and you stick in your card, it won't work, right? So you stick in your card, it automatically assigns the PIN to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and it doesn't take an input from the person with the card. It's not going to work. So what you want to do is you want to code in such a way that if they type in a number, your code can deal with that. And the way you do that is by using input. Whatever they type in right now is the value of my name. So last line we're going to do real quick is we're going to print it is good to meet you. Nope. If they're both strings, you don't have to.
Well, like,
Oh, you mean in the string?
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that. I'll see if anyone can figure out why I did it. So now that we have this, we need to test it. You probably shouldn't write more, and especially when we're doing our game, every time you change something, you need to save it. I've had students the day before the final go, Mr. Stolter, I accidentally deleted my final. I can't find it. Well, you need to turn something in for your final, so please, 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 one, save it all the time, and two, have backups of it. I give you guys, and hopefully I can come up with a more elegant solution than this, but worst case scenario, I'm going to give you guys a USB stick, and your final video game is saved on that, and then you turn that into me. Hopefully I can find a better solution than that, but I might just have you guys save it online. Oh, that's actually a really good idea. But not just online, but like to my OneDrive. Oh.
I can't figure out how to do one.
I'll teach you. I'll show you. Oh, that's actually a really good idea. I like that. Okay. So how to save it? There's two ways. You can you can go to File, Save As, and then you pick where you want to save it. I'm going to save it to our first program. I'm going to rewrite it because it's the same as the other class. Now that you've saved it, you should see on your guys' if you don't save it, it should say Untitled right up here. Once you save it, it should say our first program. It also, fun fact, as soon as you make a change, it throws a little star right in front of the file name, which means you haven't saved it. And then as soon as you save it, that star goes away. So that's just a fun little fact. Now, to run the code, you can either go up to run and hit run module. No way. I thought we had 10 more minutes. Whatever. Or you can hit F5. F5. So on your keyboard, above the number 5, you should see F5. If you hit it, it'll probably mute your computer. So you need to make sure that the FN light in the bottom left, that light is turned on. Once you turn it on, if you hit F5, your code will run.
How do you?
You just go to File, Save As, or if you hit F5, if you haven't saved it, it will prompt you to save it.
Is there a way you can wipe the file of all the errors in the code you're not using? How do you can restart the shell, but how do you like delete all the old stuff?
You close out of it and open it again.
Okay.
Cole?
Can we run it in like the place where we like designed it, or should we do it in a different?
This is how you run it.
Okay. Gotcha.
So this is how you interact with your user.
But then we'll use, what was it, like, iGame or whatever, projects?
Yeah. That opens a different window. We'll get to that soon. Cole,
Wait, so how do you run it in a different file?
what do you mean? How do you run it in a different file?
Because like you were taking it, you did it in one file and
Yeah, so this is where you code, right? And once you run it by hitting F5, it automatically jumps up here into the shell. Make sense? All right. So that's it for today. I'll upload these videos. What I want you guys to do for homework, and I'll make an assignment for it, is to finish this program, right? You can just write it straight from the book. I don't care. But that needs to be done for tomorrow's class. Yes.
Just make it say hello world and ask what your name is?
Nope. In the book.
Oh.
I'm taking this straight from the book, and that's where you need to write it from. So you look at the book and you copy and paste. You just copy it and write it. Please don't copy and paste it from the website. Please actually type it up. Please, please, please. Any questions?
Yeah, what's the assignment?
Yes. All right. So that's the end of the video. Let me stop recording.